I kept on going, but I saw fall all pretense. And I lost any idea of coming home. Because I don't know, but I surely need to roam.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new episode of the Seduction Show. Show about love, romance, relationships, sex, seduction. And I am doing a series right now in which I interview men that inspire me. And I interview them, I ask them questions, and I listen. I want to deep dive and deeply listen to what they're doing right now and see if there's any way I can help them further their endeavors and maybe recommend it to my following. So today I have a very special guest, a good friend of mine, even though we see each other seldomly, and it's Nils Kriedner. He lives in Berlin, and we got in contact, I think, about 10 years ago, and it was very interesting because Nils is a tantra teacher, was at least at the time, and has many women in his life. But I remember that he really wanted to understand the approach, or how to talk with women, or how to meet women in the street, let's say. And I always found it very fascinating that he was very interested in the art of seduction, because it was more than just a tool to bring women in his life, because he had it already. And that's how we started off. I was very interested in his work back then. I still am. And so every time I go to Berlin, we get in contact. And so as I'm doing this series, I found it only appropriate that I would also talk to Nils. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing very fine, very well. I'm really looking forward into this year, because there will be a lot of unknown new beginnings for me. Yes. And you're right. We don't see each other often enough. We have to change that sometime.
Such is the fate of world traveling. And but yes.
Actually, I don't know where are you. You are now in Medellin, right?
I'm in Medellin, Colombia right now. Yes, for another 10 days, and then I go to Malaga. I'll spend some time in Europe for the remaining part of the winter, and then I don't know what I will do. So yes, I'm in Medellin, loving it here. It's a paradise, as I said to people, and I really enjoy it very much. How's Berlin?
Berlin, I sometimes I think it's too loud, too stressful, but I enjoy it very much. I never had this. I think it was you and some other also seducer people who thought of Berlin not a place of very beautiful women. I never could say that. I always found far too many women already here, beautiful women. Anyway, for my taste. So I enjoy about the big city. I enjoy that I can meet many different types of women. You know, that which I couldn't in a smaller city. And in Berlin specifically, at the moment, the main thing that holds me here is actually the tango scene, which is like after Buenos Aires, it's the second biggest tango metropole.
Wow.
And so in the middle of this year, I might have to move. I have to leave my apartment. And so I'm thinking of staying or moving to some other place or traveling or whatever. But actually, the tango is a really big thing that keeps me here, because yes.
That's something that you started. I remember this a couple of years ago, right?
Yes, I only started that really seriously 1.5 years ago. But it would be equivalent to 10 years of someone going twice a week to a tango course.
I remember that you were dancing every day, and it seems something you do whenever you discover something new, is to go full in.
Yeah, it's not a decision from my side. It's just the way I'm wired. I cannot like slowly explore something, I have to like give everything into it. I
Is it
think I cannot live a balanced life.
well, balanced in the end, go from one extreme to the other. Hope it balances out at the end. Is it the same with women? You got to have everything right now?
Yes, it's a little bit. I'm extremely impatient these days with women, and maybe that's because when I was young, when I was a teenager, I was sometimes in love with a woman for for years and years without her even knowing it, you know.
Right.
And then finally it came out, and of course she found it awkward, and then everything uh, collapsed, and I, yeah. So over time I decided more and more to always show my attraction and everything like directly, and I go for it directly, and I rather take a rejection
Right.
than not knowing whether a woman is into me or whatever.
You've adapted a more gregarious approach over the years. Um, it took you to also to a tantra. That's how I met. Is this is the tantra work something you're still doing?
I am still doing tantra workshops. Okay, there's two parts of tantra, you know. One is tantra massage, which have been giving for 20 years now already. Um, that I haven't gotten bored at all, you know. On the contrary, I really enjoy it, and if I don't give them tantra massage for a few weeks, I'm actually notice that I'm missing something. I noticed that when I was traveling a couple of years ago for only a little bit over a month or so, and I already started missing it. Um, so that's the one thing. I love that. The other thing is workshops with groups. I have been also doing that nearly 20 years now, and the dynamics and the things that are happening in tantra workshops do not really fascinate me anymore, or they don't fulfill me. I still enjoy doing it, but my passion goes more into meditation nowadays. So yes, so that's something that's getting.
When you
really,
say meditation, is that something that you're exploring on your own, or are you also exploring on how to share that with people?
Both. I've been meditating for a very long time. I started when I was 13 or 14. And it has always been the common thing, actually, in all my passions, you know. So if I go into tango, for me, tango is a dance where you can best meditate. I've also done salsa in the past, but that's very extrovert. Like a tango is like a really meditative, or it can be. Of course, there's different dances anyway, and the same was true. That's why I found you and Zen at the time, because you were, for me, that was seduction in as meditation, you know, and tantra is intimacy as meditation, and martial arts were which I studied when I was younger, were like, were also a form of meditation. So there's common ground, but now I'm going back to very pure, trying to help people find the essence of, use the essence of meditation very directly, without any obstacles of tradition, of other things that you have to learn. And if you want to meditate in tango, you don't only need to meditate, you also need to learn tango, obviously.
Right.
But you can learn meditation, dive into meditation without learning any art, of course, and then apply it to your whole life.
What is to you the essence of meditation? Is it, can you capture, articulate that in words?
Yes, I would always do that in you. I try to. For me, it's recognizing the magic of of being alive, of being aware of what is happening.
Uh-huh.
So diving into the magic of the moment, and that can be in a dance, that can be in a conversation, that can be in just sitting there and really, that would be the purest form, like doing nothing.
Uh-huh.
But whatever you do, turning up the intensity, turning up the magic of the moment.
Uh-huh. And is it more than is it a practice, or is it something a looking for and then finding something?
Well, I mean, for one thing, of course, you could say we are all born with it, because when you come into this world, there is this mystery, there's this magic, there's no judging, there's no post in being in the future or in the past, and then as we grow into our personality, then we also have the both chance in like analyzing, but we also have the danger of losing ourselves in this and losing the connection. But it's something that actually you can relearn to connect to. Or I mean, everybody does experiences meditation, like
Yes.
especially when some people look for it in the outer world, so they always need new stimuli or new experiences. That's one way. Or you could also look anew at the same thing again and again, and then you have a fresh experience also. But there is different levels of practicing meditations, and I would also, because in preparing for this interview a little bit, or thinking about what's important for me, I would like to give you one of the most essential practices that I give to people.
It'd be great.
Which you can actually use anywhere, anytime, and that's in tantra they call it micro practices, because it's really tiny, and you do it anytime during the day, a few times, and then you may expand it. And the invitation of this micro practice is just okay. It's there's a few steps, but the easiest one is like saying out aloud a little phrase and then completing it. And the phrase is, in this moment, I am aware of, and then you look for whatever is present for you right now, like central experiences or direct bodily experience or perceptions, you know. So it's not about going into the mind, what am I thinking now, but what am I experiencing now.
Right.
So in this moment, I'm experiencing sitting on my bed, and I experience the softness under my legs, and now I experience how my hand is on my leg, and now I experience the movements of my lips. So I can continue this process of always starting with, in this moment, now, or I can also say, in this moment I enjoy, or in this moment I'm thankful for, and then look for whatever perception automatically, intuitively pops up, you know. And that is actually turning up the direct experience of this moment, and getting you away from, getting you out of your mind. And I'm sure you know this practice already also in some.
Yeah, I've never, like, people ask me if I meditate, and I say no, I don't meditate, but people have pointed out that I'm very mindful in the moment. And as you're explaining these practices, it's telling to me that I almost verbatim use those phrases for guys to be in the moment with women, and that goes from in dating, but certainly even in the approach. Like my swerve by method is exactly this: is really becoming aware of your own experience, and then, you know, share that with her, that experience, the way she affects you, or the the feelings that you're having. So it's a kind of a mindfulness. Say the phrase again, because I thought it was very good.
You could say start in this moment I'm aware, or in this moment I enjoy, or in this moment I dive into, or in this moment I'm thankful for. So yes.
That's great.
So that is the basis of meditation. And then when you do like a really regular ritual meditation every day, like for, I don't know, 10 minutes, half an hour, or whatever, then more different doors become obvious or open up, which you can use in this micro meditations. So for example, if you if you've done a meditation where you have to be aware of your breath, then this becomes one portal that you can enter in this micro practices.
Right.
So the more you have explored different central dimensions, the more you can also enter them in these micro practices, and they're just naturally pop up.
You say the breath would be one portal. What would be other portals to these meditative states or meditations?
Yeah, the most obvious ones are, of course, all the perceptions of the senses. You know, so you could say, like, in this moment, I'm aware of the light in my room and the colors and the forms, and in tantra, you could also use let these colors and let these forms fall into your consciousness. You know, or like it's easier to understand maybe with sounds. So if you become aware of the sounds, and then you don't judge them, you don't label them at all, you just let the sounds fall into the silence of your inner being. And so it's a receiving of life that is around you. Also, it can be forms and colors, so things you see, things you smell, things you taste, things you sense in your body, so all and things you hear. So the senses, the five senses, are the most obvious ones.
Right. It's funny because before, when I do the swerve by method, I have an exercise. It's called a noticing game, and it seems like to me that it's noticing how how the other or the interaction impacts you. So the idea is just people sit in front of each other, and one starts saying, I notice how, and then describes something and says, when you do that, I feel or I sense. And so you kind of start describing the impact that the interaction has on you, you know, as a receptive being, both in like sound, smell, feelings. That's very interesting.
Yeah, I do this practice too with couples in my tantra workshops, exactly the same, where you sit in front of each other and you do it together. But of course, in essence, like, meditation is something you don't need anybody. Of course, you can do it anywhere. And I just wanted to conclude the last few steps. So the first step is saying it out loud. You know, the second step would be to speak it out internally. So mentally, you're saying the same thing. So you're still using this phrase, because this phrase also cuts your chatter in the mind. And as
Nils, okay.
Then the last step would be to not even use a phrase, but just dive into it without any this moment I perceive, but just wordless. So the same thing as a wordless process. So those are the steps, and then that's meditation, basically.
Right. I can see how you can use that all through the day. You know.
Yes.
Yeah. I do a thing where guys, like, to become aware of that, I have them set their clock a couple of times a day, and just at that moment do, like you said, a micro meditation, in the sense of like checking in with themselves. How are you feeling right now? What is going on in any part? What are you noticing? What are you aware of? So maybe I've been proclaiming and advocating micro meditations all this time without really knowing it.
Yes, you sure have.
And so this is something you're exploring now, in terms of like coaching as well, working with people.
Yes. Well, now my focus at the moment is more in creating retreats. So in this field, I might also coach people one-on-one, or I certainly have done that also in the past. But at the moment, I'm focusing on creating different retreats where people can dive into meditation for a week, like. And that's another way of practicing meditation,
right.
or going with it. I mean, if you would ask me what is the most important steps to learning meditation, I would say use the micro practices. But if you go to a retreat, to a 7-day or to something intensive, you can just dive into it really deeply and really get a strong taste of what
Right.
meditation and really is, and then your micro practice of course gets deeper as well. So it's both. But if people ask me, the micro meditation is the most important part. I always say, if you go to a dentist, there are these professional cleanups of the teeth.
Yes.
And that's a really nice thing to do that once a year or once a half a year or whatever.
Right.
But if you have to decide whether to clean your teeth every day, or instead going to a really professional, really good complete cleanup once every 6 months, then you would probably say the daily brushing your teeth is more important.
Right. So that's the equivalent of the micro meditation.
Yes, exactly.
Right. And you've been setting up the events right now, or is it something that you're just working on putting together?
I have one event that I already did it the last couple of years in Corfu. So maybe you remember, I did for many years. I did tantra retreats, facilitated tantra retreats in Corfu, which is like the greenest Greek island, at a very beautiful place. And the last 3 years, I facilitate meditation retreats there. So that is always in August, and that is so from these 3 concepts of retreats that I've developed, it's one of them. And then next step, I want to create 2 other retreat tribes. One I would like to do in the desert or in the mountain, because it will be focusing more on silence, and the one in Corfu is more on sensual experiences and on bliss and energy. But in the desert or in the mountain would be more focused on silence. And then I will have another one where it's focusing on transformation and turning different topics of life into freeing them into meditation. Because of course, also themes in people's life or topics or can actually be make it hard to dive into the here now. If you have beliefs and about reality or about people or about your situation that cloud your perception, then it's difficult to dive into the moment. So it's so nice to have tools to let go of these.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. Would meditation not be the perfect way to go about this? And
yes, it's one way. Meditation basically says, okay, now you've been thinking about these problems. Okay, now leave them aside and just focus on your breath or on your sensory experience. That's one way, Another way would be like actually questioning the things that you believe, and then letting them go, maybe even permanently, or seeing the stupidity of some beliefs or how it is actually not helping you, and inviting you to let go of them. That would be and then you also land in meditation. It's just a different way of doing it. Because if there are topics and beliefs that pop up again and again and again and again, then it's worth actually not just to say, oh, I don't focus on that, but also like to address it and question it and really bring clarity into this aspect.
So your way of getting like say transformation and getting rid of these things, besides the meditation part, is to get clarity on it, like to look at it, to understand conceptually, to see how it benefits you or not, like really look at it. Is that the way?
Okay, so let me tell you, in my retreats I use 3 methods basically, or 3 ways of methods. It's actually many different methods, but three ways. One is I call it bliss flow awakening practices. That is breathing exercise, movement exercises, sounds and stuff to awaken the energy and to tune up the intensity of the moment. That's one way. Then the second one is the one I was just talking about, where you question your beliefs about reality, about life. And there I use mainly, I have my own approach, but I use mainly a technique which is called the work of Byron Katie, which consists of a where you write down your judgments or your thoughts about any topic. It can be like a really tiny little topic, or it can be something that really stresses you for a long time and that really hurts you. And then you get a couple of questions, and you sit with each thought and question it and ask the questions and dive deep into and thereby finding clarity in and seeing how the thoughts and beliefs affect you and how you would be without them.
Right.
And yes.
What was her name? Byron Katie?
The work of Byron Katie, yes.
Gotcha, yes. And then the third?
And last part of the 3 methods is like I call it yoga of silence, which is like pure no method, no working on anything, but just being in silence, which is like a very powerful method also. And usually meditation retreats focus on one of these three ways of entering meditation. So they either Buddhist style silent meditations, where you just go into silence, you don't do much with your body or with your energy, or like getting rid of blocks in your body. Or there are other types of more therapy-oriented retreats where you do a lot of working on with the energy and freeing and rebirthing and using breath or whatever, but you don't go into the silence part, or you don't look at the beliefs you have. And I try to use these 3 together, and that is really nice. Powerful in my experience of the past few.
And you adapt them to, let's say, the client, or is it something you like? It's a 3-prong approach. You try to do all 3 of them with someone.
They all complement each other, so it's helpful. But also on my retreats, I don't like to. I would invite people to look what they're actually drawn to. So maybe one person says like, oh, I want to do this retreat and basically do the silent spaces, or I want to do the energetic ones, the dynamic exercises, and the other one's not. So in my retreats, you're completely free to join as many or as little of the daily practices that I offer there. So I offer 5 hours of meditations in the retreats, and if you want to go really deep and open up on all levels and really go for it, then you do all 5 meditations. And if you want to say, I want to have a good vacation time and also add a little bit of meditation, then maybe you just do 1,
Right. Very interesting. And like after all these years, what confidence do you have in what kind of like transformation or result or victory or goal you can offer to people that let you help them?
I have, I think what I realized actually is most powerful is the whether the person is really ready and willing
Yes.
to go for it or not, you know, because I can have the best methods available and it could be perfect for the person or for everybody or whatever, but still, you know, person, so it all depends in the end from what the person brings into it. As I said, you know, if they
Surely.
go to the retreat center to have just a good time, that's perfect. I mean,
Mhm.
that's also nice. Or if they want to have a deep spiritual awakening, that's a different approach, you know, and they
Right.
really really go for it. So there's a lot of different things possible, and
Of course, it depends. I'm going through the same thing. I feel confident I can change a guy's life, his love life, if he's willing to put in the energy and time, or if he's willing to
exactly,
do the work, which is like with a lot of guys, it's talking to girls, let's say, and they think beforehand they're committed, and then they figure out that they're not
yes,
as committed as they thought they were because it's fucking frightening. And so
yes,
I could say at some point, okay, well, it's their problem that they're not doing it, you know, or I can try to help them uh, overcome the obstacles that appear along the way, you know, and try to smoothen and facilitate that path as much as possible. Now, the
yes.
coachability of a client, let's say, is important. But let's say he's coachable. What, in
Yes.
your experience, is the greatest result, or like a dream come true experience, the greatest result that you can offer to someone who wants to work with you?
Well, for me, if I would be my client, I would say like, I would say like, well, two things. You know, if you go to a retreat and you really go for all the meditation, you can have a really deep spiritual awakening that you would otherwise only that you would need LSD or
Uh-huh.
something like really. So that would be on the retreat level. On the
Right.
coaching level, as I said, I can help people. I can motivate people to build up a regular meditation practice
Mhm.
that really transforms their life in the long run. Because you
Mhm.
can have, of course, you can have a spiritual awakening, a deep experience, and then 3 weeks later, after the retreat, you're back in your normal life, and it's just
Mhm.
a memory. And That's possible, you know, if people are really longing for such a deep experience. That's possible in the retreats. I can offer that. I cannot guarantee it because the mind is, yeah. If it's just not ready yet, then it's won't won't happen. But it's
Right.
very very likely if you want a deep spiritual awakening and you go for it 100%, you will experience it. And
Mm.
the other thing is like, yes, bringing that into your life, helping you by giving you uh, daily practice, daily ritual practice, and these micro practices.
Right.
And of course, what I said about this micro practice, that's just like the beginning. You know, I could do a whole workshop or a whole
Of
retreat
course.
only
Yeah.
on this micro practice. You know, because
Right.
there's really a lot about it, and that you can explore.
Right. How like for whom, like say the spiritual awakening, which is one thing. How has how is a life that is now imbued with, say, a meditative practices throughout the day, which has developed or it has become a habit, how is that life different than from what it was before when you don't have those habits? So what are the, say, the benefits, the results in long term, say a year or 3 years or 5 years?
The results are. It depend on the person, you know, but basically you could say you're more calm. You can enjoy. You can actually get. get more. So if you say life is a fruit and you want to get the juice, then if you meditate daily, you will get far more juice, maybe 90% more juice out of life. Maybe that's something to say. So
is that a journey that you went through as well, or is it something, since you started so early, that you can't recall getting less juice out of life before?
It's a journey, and also so meditation is also it's a journey, and also it's an awakening. So there can be insights which are really where you, for example, if you really realize I am limitless, I'm boundless in my inner core, then that has that can be something really transforming. But there's also like the gradual development, so that you feel more calm, that you can enjoy life more, that you're not impatient, that you have more clarity over your thoughts, that you become more empathetic. So there's so many different. Also, of course, it has many benefits for health. But me personally, I haven't done any practice that because of health benefits.
Right.
I'm always a more hedonistic person, so I did meditation basically to enjoy life more and to get more juice out of it.
Right.
But yes, I think I forgot what you asked.
No, you were saying that it has been beneficial for people for like health benefits, and then you're more focused on. You've always been more hedonistic and focusing on how much more juice you can get out of life because of it.
Yes.
Right.
Well, basically, I also think like it is funny that one actually has to explain why meditation could be beneficial, or because I mean, whatever you learn or perceive or practice or pursue in life. It can be many different things depending on personality traits. So the one person maybe wants to be creative, one person wants to be social, and I don't know, wants to have success in life, is going for power, another person for money. But so that's very, very personal. But everybody has got this, is living his life, his or her life in the moment, and so the experience itself, the experience of life itself, and the knowing who you are yourself, that actually I don't get it how anyone could not be interested in that.
Right. Yes, I'm just looking to help how you could market it, how you could bring it to people, because I'm working in seduction, and for me it's all encompassing and with every moment of time, so I can't imagine how someone would not be interested in it, but we're looking, this is also why I do the podcast, so I can see how I can help you further it. And so I'm looking for ways to find ways so people would allow you to help them, and bring them to a place that you both want to go. So that's why I asked. If you're like, who are the people you love to work with, or you say these are the people that my work is very good for?
People who want to learn, who want to dive deeper into life, or want to learn how to meditate, but they are not interested in the traditional and dogmatic and ideology byproduct that is often accompanied by meditation. Because my approach is that's something that is also very unique. Is very I completely leave out any ideology or religious frame or even spiritual frame, because I believe people should if they want to explain the experiences they make, they can use their own system. They don't. Right. I don't have to give them a new belief system or whatever. So people who want to who are interested in an undogmatic and really. So that's also something that's very. I'm very welcoming of however the person wants to enjoy the course. I'm not, because before you asked how you can help people or motivate people. I'm very oh my God, I notice how my focus on English gets more and more difficult now.
We should do these. We should do these talks regularly.
Yes, I should.
Yeah, you're unbiased, or you're on. What I hear from it is that you really try to get to the essence of meditation, to the essence of the practice of meditation, and offer that, and then people can color that any way they want. That's interesting.
Yes, exactly. So I don't use any of these concepts you must have heard about chakras or energy systems or whatever. I don't use that. I also don't use any psychological system, so you can explain the experiences that you have in meditation. You can explain them in a psychological way or in an esoteric way or in a religious way.
Right.
But you don't have to. You don't need to. Maybe that's not necessary at all.
Very interesting. I like that. I get clarity on that, that you really try to get to the essence without any religious, psychological coloring or spiritual coloring, and that's very interesting. What is the, like, on a personal level or related to your work, what are the questions you're sitting in nowadays? Like, what's on your mind? What are you looking at?
Yeah, the latest questions really were were actually the names I want to give to the different retreat types, and also the structure of the retreats, and that's something that I'm really every day I sit an hour in this question about this new project and brainstorm ideas for the retreats, names for different things that I introduce there, because that also has a strong. So I always create, for everything I teach, I create really beautiful names and images for people to grasp it. And so it's a little bit more difficult for me to do that in English now, because I do it mainly in German. But so that's something.
But people who are English speakers can join you, or not?
Yes, they can join me, and sometimes it's very easy to translate these names, and sometimes it doesn't really fit, as it is in language.
What is so when you're thinking about these retreats, and are there dates already, or how far into
there's one retreat in August. It's I think from the 8th to the 14th or 15th of August. That's in Corfu. That's a meditation retreat. It's called Paradise of Being. So that focuses on the bliss flow, and it's like it's sun, it's summer, the sea is very close, so it's diving into all the aspects that I've described before, but also having a really good vacation time there. And
that is the next big project.
That's the one that I do now the third time, and then I'm looking for maybe at the end of the year I still need to find the right place for the other retreat, which is supposed to be called Call of Silence or something like that.
Nice. So what people listening to this podcast and they say, wow, Nils really speaks to me and I want to know more. How can they find a way to participate in, say, the one in August, or get coaching from you directly? How do they get in contact?
Yes, if they want to participate, if they want to come to this retreat, I can because before you ask how to market, you know, I can offer you, I guarantee you have one of the best times of your life if you come there. So you can, if you don't agree, or if you say you don't like it, you definitely get the money back, and it's not that expensive anyway. But
I've had the invite now a couple of times, or I've heard about the thing, you know, and I'm talking to you right now. There have been invites for different things in the past, and I should really. I feel like I've bypassed on tapping into your genius and the way you can help people, and I would like to amend it in some way. So I'll talk to you after the podcast, also on a personal level, maybe join.
yes.
You know, but so how do people get in contact with you?
Yes, they either write to me on Facebook or an email, or whatever they prefer. You know, they can also write a postal letter, but I wouldn't suggest that.
Right.
But
I'll put your Facebook in the notes, and also your email address. But you can say it right now. What's your email address?
And well, it's my name. It's a bit complicated to speak out loud. Maybe you just write it down somewhere. And
I'll put it in the notes so people listening to this, you can see it underneath. Is there a website to get more information in case they wanted about the retreat in August?
Yes, there is, but I'm creating a new website for this whole meditation retreats, because at the moment I still have or I will continue to have it, my tantra website, and I also have it on there, but really I'm right about to create a new website for that. So and also it will be on my Facebook.
Great. I'll put as much as we know in the notes, so people, you can watch it underneath. I just wanna recommend Nils. I met him a decennium ago or 10 years ago, and comes from a very particular angle, and he's very unassuming, I would say, and very gentle and kind and knowledgeable, you know. And so I recommend just spending time with him, let alone being a retreat with him. And if you can't find him in any way, contact me, and I'll get you in contact with Nils, and see where it can take you. Thank you very much, Nils. I'm very happy that I get to understand your world a little better, your work also, and I wanted to do this deep dive to understand you a little bit and make sure that your work reaches a little bit more people. So thank you very much to come on the call, make time for me, and let's talk soon.
Thank you very much, Hans, and yes, it was a pleasure and was really fun.
Nice. Bye-bye, Nils.
You're too far to catch the morning. I have no eyes for your betrayal. I see you dancing, hopping on that last train. And what a sight now, darling, with all those things that we may feel. Darling, stay right here.